I see a red light in the corner. We're live.
Live.
In living color, I see what we've all Friday casuals on today.
Yeah.
Awesome.
How's summer doing? 24 degrees. Doing great.
Oh, yeah. It feels like summer today, finally.
Yeah.
It is beautiful day. Oh, man. I can't wait to kind of soak up more sun.
Yeah, right. Great. Well, guys, thanks for joining us on our live stream. We may be seeing Sano jump on. He may be connecting while overseas, but if he does, we'll see him, and if not, he probably can't get the connection. So anyhow, happy Friday. It's May 10th, and we're going to talk about just a couple quick topics. Why don't we do let's start with the market review stats, maybe right up front here. I'm going to share my screen and have a look at some daily stats that I think are interesting. And this is finally a change from something that we haven't seen in quite a while. So here, I don't want to do that. I was going to try and draw on the screen. I don't think I can. The numbers there, the total sales, if we're looking at the column that says May 2023, May 2024, the number of sales there month to date is virtually the same, but the number of new listings just below that is up 35%. In the past, in the last, I would say year and a half, we've seen sales down and listings down year over year pretty consistently. And it's so really interesting to see new listings finally up year over year. This is 10 days into May, so probably a small sample size, but it's maybe a sign that we're starting to see, Michael, you called it a plateau.
Yeah.
And Mike, you were commenting on just sort of one market that we've been active in, Bridgeland. What are you seeing there?
Similar things, just in that particular price point and in that little microcosm of a Bridgeland and Renfrew, that over the last 30 days or so, that the sales seem to have slowed down just a little bit, and the listings have come on, and the absorption rate there hasn't really picked up those new listings. And so over those last 30 days, we've gone from something like 6 listings up to 14 or 15. And so it does certainly seem like maybe the supply is catching up just a little bit in small pockets. I don't think across the city you would say that necessarily, because there are still certainly highly competitive situations for certain properties, but that maybe in small pockets there is a little more inventory for folks to choose from. And I think that what that means for sellers out there in general is that if you don't have something else that really makes you stand out as a property, if you don't have a really great location, or if there's not something really special about the house, then you just have to be a little more careful with how you price the property, and maybe not be as aspirational as maybe we've seen some folks come on and just price it right on, which is I think the guidance we've tried to give our clients. Even when we feel like we have a really special property, the advice has been, or the guidance has been, put it where you think it should sell, and if it's that good, it'll still go over. So
I think anecdotally for me, the buyers that we have subscribing to searches, I get copied on those, and I could say the number of listings I've seen in the last 10 days feels like the market is picking up, or the number of listings is picking up. Seeing a lot more emails come through. Could be that it is maybe finally spring here, or it feels like summer, I suppose. So that might have something to do with it. Maybe the first 10 days of May have been, it feels like May started on a Wednesday, and so you start with a big weekend. I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Finally, maybe it's a slightly different story than we've been telling for the last 18 months.
Yeah, and certainly for some of those buyers out there, would love to see a bit of a different story. I know that on the selling side, it's been pretty great. But on the buying side, on the flip side of that, for people who are even just selling their properties and trying to trade up or trade across, it's been difficult. And I don't know, I've since the start of this more busy market, I've really just been hoping for a more balanced market where you can get better deals done sort of for everybody instead of it just being so one-sided.
Yeah. I think that you're right. It's better out there for buyers. Like there's more to see, and maybe more opportunity to buy something. I think the bad news for buyers is that pricing continues to be rising at a 10% rate year over year. So if you've been looking for 6 months, prices are up 5%. So still challenging, but maybe you just have the opportunity to get in on something.
It's nice, like just one last comment on this. Like within the realtor kind of industry, you kind of see on the groups, on the chat groups, you sort of hear of multiple bid situations where there's like just a huge amount of offers. There are, unconditional offers. There's sometimes listing agents will circumvent the kind of like the laid out review process of offers, and I see signs that there are not as many multiple offers. That there's still multiple offer situations almost all the time, but it's not 12 offers, it's 4, which is a heck of a lot more manageable and rational than if there are above 10 offers. And so then you see sort of like irrationality at play, which, if you're representing the seller, it's good news. If you're representing buyers, it's not always that great. And overall, I think it's sometimes unhealthy for the market to see that irrationality, I guess.
Yeah, I think go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, I think it's hilarious that we're in a market right now, Michael, where you've just described a four competing offer scenario as rational.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, anyways, it's the reality though, like but it's nice to see it sort of simmering down, like 14 offers on one single property within 2 days is very difficult to manage, and inevitably people are going to have their feathers ruffled like through that process. And I think as listing agents, we have to be very careful. We really are communicating really clearly to all of the prospective buyers or buyer agents, so that we level the playing field, essentially, but as we're representing our sellers, we want to ensure that we're sort of pursuing their objectives. And so, in most cases, it's trying to get the best price. Not always, but like the vast majority of the time, and but still maintaining our integrity and professionalism.
So I think we can look forward to a little more rational spring, something with maybe a little more predictability, which is kind of nice. One thing that could upset that is that Alberta has just launched Alberta is calling phase 3.
Right. Yeah, I saw that.
And so who knows? I mean, maybe this is another call for people across Canada to move to Alberta. So we'll see if that has an impact later in the year.
Okay. We just, as we're like racing down the highway, we want to just put on the gas even more.
Yeah. Fire up the afterburners.
Okay. Yeah. Well, hopefully they're like making a call for like tradespeople to build houses.
Cool. Yeah. I haven't seen the ads yet, but they're out there. They're in the field. So
yeah, good.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. Next topic, Michael. You're taking on a project this year that's maybe in response to the lack of moisture we've had in Alberta, and tell us what you're doing.
Yeah. So my wife and I and the kids, we live in Glendale, an established 1950s neighborhood. And, we've got a big front lawn, and it's all, we've turned some of it into gardens, and then most of it is Kentucky bluegrass. what in response to drought conditions that we're dealing with for the last 3 years, we've decided to actually switch our lawn to clover, so white clover. So we just about 7 days ago we put the seed down, put some topsoil on top of it, and to get that growing and to eventually replace the Kentucky bluegrass. We didn't rip out the grass, but we did seed over top of it. We aerated, and then we put soil over top of the seeds, and then we've just been sort of keeping it moist, and the rain has been helpful. The objective is to essentially have a lower maintenance lawn, and also a more drought resistant lawn. So it'll be good for also pollinators, so it'll be good for bees and other pollinators. So it's there's probably other grasses or turfs or plants. We don't need to have turf. That might be even better. But at this point, we felt it was a good option. So I can't wait to see it kind of like come together. I think it's important that we are allowing the seeds to germinate. I think there's a lot of anecdotes where you throw down seeds and they don't always grow. So hopefully this is not going to be a failed experiment. Have you guys kind of done any of this stuff, or any comments on this stuff?
I tried to throw down some white clover a couple of years ago, and it didn't take for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just my method. I didn't aerate. I just kind of broadcast it everywhere and hoped it would work. So that didn't work for me. But I do have the house that I live in now. It's a fairly hardy kind of low-lying shrub that is growing in my gardens, and it's almost like a succulent.
Yeah.
And it spreads really nicely, and it looks nice. It's low maintenance, and I was actually able to transplant some of that into a few locations that are a little bit like my side yard along the alley, areas I really want to maintain, and that's worked reasonably well. I probably need to stay on top of that, but it's the only success I've had with the outdoors.
Yeah.
I'm planning to. I picture myself a little bit like the main character there in the Shawshank Redemption, with clover seed in my pockets and walking around in the yard, because my wife maybe would prefer not to have clover, but I'd like to have some to maybe outcompete the grass that we have. And so I think I'd secretly go out in the yard and just sprinkle some clover here and there in some of the spots where we live in an older bungalow that has a lot of great yard, but it's a lot of great yard that I have to maintain and water and mow and do all those things. So if we could shift it a little bit to something that's a little lower maintenance and a little more drought resistant and a little more a little lusher too. I know that one of the possible problems with clover is that you can get slugs underneath, I think, a little bit. It can get a little slimy, and it's also really good for if you have animals, for hiding dog poops. But we don't have those problems right now, and so if we could just have a bit of a nicer, lusher yard that requires less water and maintenance, that would be my preference.
Yeah, nice. We don't have a dog right now. I'm sure in the future we will, but so we won't have to deal with that. But that's interesting. I didn't know about the slugs. I'm not a fan of slugs. Gotta be honest. We're gonna have to keep this clover down. What's that?
They're not super. They're not great.
Yeah. Great.
But as far as around our house, there's not too much other stuff that we're undertaking. I did read the other day that there's been a run on rain barrels in Calgary. So folks are trying to take measures to capture some of the overflow from gutters and store that water for watering, in anticipation of water restrictions that I think have already been announced, but maybe if it gets severe enough that even the hand watering is cut back, then folks have some backup.
Yeah. Great. Well, maybe we'll move on to one final quick topic, and I just wanted to mention, I know this is sort of consumer focused, but we have our first inaugural Canadian conference for Real Broker coming up in just after a long weekend. Really excited about that, and we're going to have the whole leadership team in town. The couple of big things that we're involved in. The first night, we've got a social event that a number of the top teams in Alberta are co-hosting, so that's going to be a lot of fun. The next morning, and I'm sure you guys are just late to signing up, but there's a 5K run happening at 6 a.m. So
I'm still nursing a pulled hamstring, Dan. I'm not going to be able to make that run. I'm sorry.
So that'll be fun. I hope we've got. I got connected with a keynote speaker for the conference. He's run 6 marathons in the last year, so we might put him just at the front, and
Yeah,
he can run it.
he can be the rabbit.
He can be the guy, and so that should be fun. And then the last big thing is that Sano is actually speaking at the conference on a panel for luxury homes. So we're lucky to play a reasonably sized role in this conference. So that's really exciting for us. So
Yeah, can't wait to attend and check it out.
yeah, it's open to everybody. So if there's anybody out there that does want to attend, of course, tickets are available, and we'd love to see you out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it should be good.
should be great. Should be great. Okay, guys. Well, let's call it a day. We're all busy here today, and lots to do before the weekend. So
Awesome.
okay, guys.
All right,
Right on.
guys.
Thanks. Yeah.
Take care.
Take care.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah.